Okay, so in worksheet 67, we're doing more law cosine. So on the front of this, it says find each measure indicated, round to the nearest tenth. So everything's the nearest tenth, whether it's an angle or a side. So when you look at this, we're not finding everything. We're only finding the one piece that it's telling us to. So on this first one, it says find DE. I need you guys to sort of trace DE, which I have to turn my paper because I'm not that talented. So there's DE. Which side is DE? What would we label it? Little f. Now here's the problem. Nowhere do we have DEs and Fs on our reference sheet, right? So you want to rename it? Rename it. It does not matter to me. Replace the D with an A, replace the E with a B, and the F with the C. The order doesn't matter. And if we replace it with the ABC to help us on our sheet, it doesn't matter which way you go ABC, as long as your A goes with side A, your C goes with side C, so we're no longer call that F, and your B goes with side B.
So it doesn't matter what angle the AB.
Nope, it does not matter because everything works out. So in this case, we are looking for side C. Agreed? If I labeled ABC. So if I'm looking for side C because I labeled it that way, I'm going to use this formula. And all of these formulas are the same. They just rearrange it. So if someone else called it B, you see we're using the same formula. If I'm looking for B, I'm using the other two sides in here and angle B. If I'm looking for side C, I'm using the other two sides throughout here and using that opposite angle. See how everything pairs up? So it really doesn't matter how you label it, as long as we know that this is the side I'm looking for. Did you see that idea? So this side was called F. I renamed it C. So I am using, and you don't have to rewrite this, but well, let's just fill it in. I am using that formula, and it is, for me, I called it C. See if I can squeeze it all in here. So it's C squared equals A squared, which is 26 squared, plus B squared, which is 24 squared, minus 2 times 26 times 24. And then you have to keep that cosine on there. So it's cosine of the angle that matches with that side, which is 134. You don't have to rename it, but I think for a lot of us, it'd be easier if we rename the triangles. Ladies and gentlemen, you are literally filling this in the calculator. So we want to see this. We want to see what you get in the calculator. And then, what? You're going to do this in your head? Well, you could. I think you might at least get stuck where the cosine is.
Yeah, because I don't know how to do that.
Well, that's why you don't.
So it has to.
With angles, yeah. With radians, you can do more. All right. So let's put this in exactly as it is. 26 squared, okay, plus 24 squared, use your little square key, minus 2, and then I'm just going to use times 26, but you could use parentheses, times 24, you got to put in your cosine, and then 134. All right, does anybody agree with me? This means your calculator should be out, and we should be doing this. I got 2,118.9. Does anybody agree with that? Now, because I'm going to take the square root of it, I'm going to keep a couple decimal places, or I'm just going to use my calculator, but I don't want to round it to the nearest tenth until I'm done. Now, what gets rid of a square is a square root. Same thing we've been using when we did Pythagorean theorem. And so I'm going to do the square root, and I'm going to use my answer, second negative sign. And that gives me 46.03. So nearest tenth, side C, is 46. Now we called it side C. It was officially what? DE. Okay. So again, if you want to relabel it, that's fine. We're all going to have the same numbers. It just depends on what we call it. So if I choose not to relabel it, if I choose just to work with this, I do want to say, okay, well, this is side P, this is side R, and this is side Q. If I don't relabel it, and I think some of you would be okay without relabeling, I'll set this one up with you too. I'm looking for side Q, all right, because that's PR. I don't want to use PR, I just want to use the one letter. And what I'm talking about is it's Q squared equals the other two sides squared minus 2 times the other two sides times cosine of the angle opposite the side I want. So I think some of you can do that without renaming it, if you see that pattern. If not, rename it ABC. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about there. This one's set up for you. Let's jump down to the next couple. If you look at number 3 and number 4, they don't want you to find a side. What do they want you to find? An angle. That's a problem. So look at your blue sheet. In order to find any of these angles, what do you need to know? All three sides. So these two are going to be a little harder because on these you actually do have to find the missing side first. Okay? So in order to do these, even though they ask for angle P, I need to find this side. So I'm going to go ahead and relabel this, guys. I'm going to call this A, B, and C because I think some of you will like that. So I'm relabeling it A, B, C. This is side A. Okay, so better for you this way? And that's fine, as long as I circled, because P is the angle I want, which translates to angle A. If this, I labeled this angle C, then that's side C. So the first thing I have to do is find the missing side. Okay, so let's do that. It is going to be A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times cosine of what? 93. Not because it's the only angle there, because it is side C. I need the angle opposite side C. Okay, so find side C. Plug this in the calculator. Tell me what you get.
Wait, 25?
Yeah. 25 times 25 is 625. All right, so whenever we look at this, we put this in. We got our answer of 625.308, kept going there, and then the square root was 25.0 something, so that's the nearest 10. So side C is 25. Now, if they're asking me for angle P, which we called A, now I'm going to step in and I'm going to use my cosine of A, so we haven't reviewed an angle yet. To find the angle, I needed to know all three sides. Cosine of A, we're going to do, in parentheses, 14 squared minus 20 squared minus 25 squared. So I'm just filling in my formula all over -2 times 20 times 25. I'm not using parentheses down here because I feel like people try to use them and then they forget they have to close that. So I'm using little time symbols. So up here is subtraction, down here is multiplication. Make sure you close parentheses, division sign, close parentheses. What do we get for the cosine A? Don't be lazy. You got to write cosine A because we don't know A yet. Give me 4 decimal places. Okay, I'll wait. How long do I have to wait?
Wow.
I'm
trying to make sure I don't mess up the numbers again.
Well, so I'm closing my parentheses. Use your division sign. -2 times 20 times 25.
Can you close the parentheses then put the division sign?
Yes, because you have to tell it to do the numerator. Do all that subtraction, then divide. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
0.829? Okay, I said nearest. Sometimes we only get 3 decimals. Now, the reason I want to make sure you brought down your cosine A, you haven't found A yet. How do you find A? Inverse. Yep, so come in with your inverse on both. So that cancels your cosine, but we have to take the inverse. So however to get to your inverse, mine's second cosine, yours you have to go, some have to go into the second probability key. Make sure it says inverse, and then I'm just going to hit second answer, or you can put in that decimal. And nearest tenth would be 34 degrees. So I had to get the missing side to get the missing angle. There you go. So you're going to do the same thing here. All right. Now, when you get down to 5 and 6, they're going to be pretty quick because do you notice that you have all 3 sides? So if you're going to find H And you want to relabel it. How do you want to label it, guys? What do you want to call H? A, B, or C?
B.
All right, I heard B first. Does it matter how you label it? Nope. As long as you are consistent.
Guys, clock's flying.
All right. So there we go. On to the little back. You want to find a side XZ. Again, you can relabel it, but let's trace that side. You want to find angle H. You're going to need to find your missing side first. This one wants you to find AC, and this wants you to find angle X. And again, this one has 3 sides, so I don't have to do anything extra. So reminder on this one is I need to find the missing side first. Everything else, I can just find the piece they're asking for. You have these 2 guys down here, and these 2 are asking you to solve the triangle. So what do you have to do first to solve a triangle?
Find the third side.
All right, so we have to do this first. Put a little star there. You have to find this guy first, okay? And in this one, you don't have to find a side. But the other thing I want to remind you is when you find the second angle, the third angle should just be 180 minus 68 minus whatever you get. So let the third angle be your easy angle, right? All right.